So today you guys are going to be reading chapter 4, and before we get started, there are two new strategies for analysis that I wanted to share with you guys. So open up to your strategy section, if you haven't done so already, and this is going to be number 8, Analyzing Foreshadowing. And foreshadowing is an advanced hint of what is to come later. So kind of the author or a character is giving us a little bit of some sort of hinting at or poking at the fact that there's going to be something that's going to happen later, some event. It's usually found in dialogue between characters or chapter titles. And what we want to do, our goal was once to identify the foreshadowing, is then to make a prediction as to what's going to happen next. So take the time now to pause, that way you can copy down this strategy. And I'm going to show you an example of what this would look like. So first we're going to go to chapter 3 because we have a great example of foreshadowing in chapter 3. So I'm going to label it number 8, SS. And if you go to the last page of chapter 3, so it is page 52, so I know where it says it, we see that Ponyboy says, "Things gotta get better. I figured they couldn't get worse. I was wrong." So this little part right here where he says, "I was wrong," lets us know that things are going to get worse. So here's where you can make a prediction. So my prediction is, things are going to get worse for the greasers because I think there is going to be a big fight. So I'm taking the foreshadowing, I know something's going to happen, and now I'm going to identify or predict what I think is going to happen. You can add that to your own. The next strategy I want to show you is the opposite of foreshadowing, and that is a flashback. So this is strategy number 9. And a flashback is a story or event that happened in the past. The reason we analyze flashbacks is because it gives us more details about the current situation. It helps develop the theme as well as helps with characterization. So it gives more information about our characters. What you want to look for to identify a flashback is memory, dreams, or authorial sovereignty, which is when the author directly brings it up. So take the time now to pause the video to write down the rest of your strategy. Okay, so to find an example of a flashback, we're actually going to travel back to number 2. And a lot of you guys were able to identify that we had a flashback in chapter 2, but we didn't know exactly what to do with it just yet. And now that we've read, we have a little bit more information about our characters. So let's see. I lost my first switch here. Here we go. So if you guys go back to page 31 of chapter 2, we're going to go into our chapter 2 responses again, if you have room. So I have some room under my questions. And we see right here in the paragraph where Ponyboy and Cherry are talking. And Ponyboy, we start with Cherry actually. She smiled and her eyes showed that her mind was on something else. "Johnny, he's been hurt bad sometime, hasn't he?" It was more of a statement than a question, hurt and scared. "It was the Socs," I said nervously, because there were plenty of Socs milling around and some of them were giving me funny looks, as if I shouldn't be with Cherry or something. I don't like to talk about it either, Johnny getting beat up I mean, but I started in, talking a little faster than I usually do, because I don't like to talk about it either, to think about it either. So this is an example of authorial sovereignty, and the reason is because Ponyboy directly brings up the story. It's not masked in a dream, or where he's talking about a memory. He blatantly brings up, this is the flashback, and this is the memory that happened. and we can go right into the flashbacks. So what I want you guys to do now with your group is to go back to your story into chapter 2, back to that flashback. And before we begin reading chapter 4, I want you to pull out this information and details that are given to us about Johnny's attack. And the way you're going to do that is you're going to write down number 9. We're going to title it SB for a flashback. And I'm going to title it page 31 to, let's see, the flashback ends, I believe, on 34. And you're going to just simply title it Johnny's Jumping. And below, I want you to list some information you find. So for example, I know as I read it that the issue that started it was there was Sochas in a blue Mustang. I also know information that Johnny was threatened. So I want you to go through and like how I am and just make a bulleted list of all of the factors of information that we were given from the flashback of Johnny's jumping. And then as you guys begin to read chapter 4, your goal is to pick up on any other flashbacks or foreshadowing. So we're also going to be looking for flashbacks, foreshadowing, and I still want to make sure we're practicing creating our questions. And learning more about our characters through characterization. Chapter 4 is also a pretty big chapter in terms of events, so we definitely want to look at our plot events and their importance. Like I said, this chapter is a big chapter. You have a lot of strategies that you can use to get the most out of it and to fully analyze it, so you have something to bring to our Socratic seminar the following week. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask the sub or save them for me till tomorrow, and we will definitely go over them.